A simple statement or block statement can be executed a controlled number of times using loop statements. A do-while statement is a loop statement that utilizes a boolean expression or a series of boolean expressions to determine if a simple statement or block statement is executed. The do-while statement can be broken down into four components. First, the reserved word do that begins the statement. Next is the statement or block statement to be executed, then the reserved word while, and finally the condition to be evaluated after this statement has been executed. Now, if this condition evaluates to true, after this statement is executed the first time, the statement will execute again and will continue to execute until the condition evaluates to false, in which the flow of the program will proceed to the next statement in the program. As you may have noticed, the do-while loop is much like the while loop, the only difference being, unlike a while loop, the do-while loop always executes the statement or block statement at least once before the evaluation of the condition that will instruct the body of the do-while statement to be executed again or not, depending on the result of the condition's evaluation. Let's look at a program that utilizes a do-while loop. Here we have a program that can be used to keep count of something and will alert you when the count reaches a determined amount, in this case 10. You can see we initialize 3 variables at the beginning of this program. One string variable named choice and initialized to an empty string, and 2 int variables, count and capacity. Count is initialized to 0 and capacity is initialized to 10. After that, we initialize a scanner object named input that will be used to receive input from the console. Notice the scanner class is imported at the top. Next is the do-while statement, starting with the reserved word do, then a block statement. The block statement starts by displaying the current value stored in count to the console, then prompts the user to increment or decrement the count variable by inputting a plus sign or a minus sign. Next, the user's input is received using the scanner object input and stored in the string variable named choice. Then, the value stored in choice is evaluated and the int variable count is incremented if the value stored in choice is a plus sign and is decremented if the value stored in choice is a minus sign. After that, the condition is evaluated. The condition consists of the value stored in the int variable count being compared to the value stored in the int variable capacity. And if count is less than or equal to capacity, this whole block statement will be executed again. And once it completes, this condition will be evaluated again. And this block statement will continue to be executed until this condition evaluates to false. At the point this condition evaluates to false, the next statement in the program will be executed. In this case, our program will proceed to line 34, in which the user is alerted that capacity has been reached. In other words, the value stored in the int variable count has exceeded the value stored in the int variable capacity. And finally, the last statement in our program closes the scanner object input. Now when we run this program, we can see that our count at the beginning is 0, which is what we initialized it to. And we can increment this count by entering the plus sign and pressing enter. You can see our count is incremented to 1. And if we increment it again, see our count is now 2, and again it's 3. You could try to decrement using the minus sign. You can see our count's now 2, and again now 1. Now let's increment all the way up to 10, and see what happens after we increment once more after reaching 10. You can see we get capacity reached.